Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have been asked by several to create a video or some kind of explanation on how to work with Visual Studio in the virtual machine. So we're just going to do a quick video just to kind of show you how everything should work and be set up once you get in. To start with, I am here in the virtual machine setting that has been provided for us. So whenever you come in, you're just going to want to hit the start bar here and then just do a search for Visual Studio and you should be able to find it. Once you have it, you'll just go ahead and open up the application. And it might take a minute or so to get working, so just be patient with it. Okay, when we start in Visual Studio, that you should see a screen that looks similar to this. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on this Create a New Project. Now, if you already have a project that you have started, you can either click on Open a Project or Solution, or you may be able to find the solution here in your recent files. But if you're creating a new project, say at the beginning of your week, whenever you're starting your assignments, you can click on this Create New Project here. And that's going to bring you to a screen that looks similar to this once it loads up. Now, by and large, we're going to want to go ahead and leave everything pretty much the way that it is. And what we're going to be looking for is the empty project. If you don't see it here on your list right away, you can try to search for empty, and it should come up with an empty project. It does not exactly matter which way you go, but you're probably going to want to pick the one that says has the little C++ Windows console here. That's going to give us probably the best setup for what we're using. You can also narrow that down by clicking the languages, and if you hit C++ and Windows, I'm sorry, I have an alert on my phone going off, and then console application, even without searching for empty, you should have this empty project. Now, once you pick this project the first time, you can pick the same template that you have used before from this list on the left. So you're just going to click on that and hit next, and then you can name your project. Now, you can name your project pretty much whatever you want. You may want to consider naming your projects something along the lines of week 2 assignment or week 1 assignment or something along those lines. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We're just going to say week 1 assignment. I can't type. And everything else here can stay as a default. So we're going to store it in this C:users student source repos. You don't necessarily need to know that, but that's where your assignments are going to be stored if you ever need them. And you'll notice that the solution name and the project name are the same, and that's perfectly fine. So everything else being the default, you can go ahead and click Create. And this process can also take a couple of minutes because Windows in your virtual machine here is coming in, and it's going to create a bunch of new files and folders and everything else. Once you have your Visual Studio open here, you should notice several windows that are open here. And if they're not, you might see something along the lines of this, where everything is hidden. What you want to make sure that you have available to you is a Solution Explorer. And I would go ahead and just pin that. There's a little pin here that says Auto Hide. I would go ahead and pin that there if it is not already. Now, if you do not see the Solution Explorer, so if it is not there at all, which shouldn't happen, but it could. You can come up here to View, and somewhere towards the top you should see Solution Explorer. You can click on that, pin it in place, because you're always going to want to have this available to you. Once you have the Solution Explorer available to you, and just so you know, it might also be over here on the left, but by default it should be over here on the right. It doesn't matter, that's personal preference. You're going to come in here into Source Files, and you're going to right click, and you're going to hit Add a New Item. Now this comes up with C++ file types, so what we want to make sure that we do is we're going to rename this file to hello or hello world. Since I'm doing the week 1 assignment, it's just the hello world example. You want to make sure that your file extension is a C, not CS, not CPP, not anything else. It needs to be a .c file to work in C. So once you have that, you can go ahead and add it, and it will actually add the file here in your source files. Then you can go ahead and you can complete the assignment as it's written in the book. I don't remember what the comment says, so we're just going to say print hello world. And that is that. This is all that you need. Now to test your assignment, you can click on this green arrow that says Local Windows Debugger. And when you click on that, it's going to come down here and it's going to tell you that it's building the file and everything else. And once it does that, it's going to provide you whatever output is created in this window. So there's hello world, and then it comes up and it says that it exited with a code 0, etc., etc., etc. And then press any key to close the window. And that's all that it is. Now, the thing about Visual Studio is if you have a typo or something like that, you're going to see a red line. That red line tells you that it senses an error that is going to cause this file to not be able to compile properly. So whenever you try to click on the local Windows debugger here, you're going to see errors, and it's going to tell you that there are build errors. If you see this message that pops up and says there were build errors, would you like to continue and run the last successful build, just go ahead and click no. And then it's going to give you some idea of what your error was. So this says the identifier pint is not identified on line 3. So I'm going to come up here and fix that, and then I can go ahead and recompile, rerun it, and everything else. Now, one other thing that you can do, and we will be doing this later on in the term, is you can actually run your programs from the command line. And this is something that was mentioned in week 1. It caused a lot of confusion because the assignment prompt in Canvas was not updated to match the virtual machine. So for the most part, as long as you can run it from Visual Studio, I'm fine. You don't have to try to run it from the command line. But if you want to run it from the command line, you can come up here and click on Tools, come down here to Command Line, and then go to Developer Command Prompt. And there's an announcement about this in the course as well. But this is actually going to take you to the folder where your project is. And if you type in dir, which is short for directory, you can see the folders and files that are here. We are going to want to go into the debug folder. So we're going to change the directory cd to debug. And if we look in here, we should notice that we have week 1 assignment.exe. So this means that we have compiled the program properly and it has created our executable file. So to work our executable file, we're going to hit // week 1 assignment.exe, and you'll see that it says hello world here. So that is how we can use the command line. And in a few weeks, when we get into some more some more programs, you will have to run your program through the command line, and this is the process by which you'll do that. And then to get out of the command line, you can just type exit. So that is pretty much it as far as using Visual Studio on the virtual machine. So hopefully this helps clear things up for you. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Just one note that you might notice, I don't use the same spacing convention that the text does. The text will actually put a line break there and put the curly braces on their own line. That's actually probably better for starting out as a programmer because it will help you keep your curly braces lined up. And it just makes your code easier to read. As I was learning how to code, that was just not what I learned to do. But it doesn't make a difference either way. Your programs will still compile and code, and everything will work because white space does not matter in Visual Studio or in C programming. So use as much white space or as little white space as you need. But that is pretty much it. If you have any other questions about how to use Visual Studio, by all means, please give me a message through Canvas Messenger, and I will do what I can to help out. So thanks for watching, and we will see you in class.